Hi folks, welcome back. Uh, we've had some snow. Um, it's not enough to stop us, but we have company over and I'm still recovering. My foot is not completely recovered yet. It's a little harder to be up on a scaffolding when there's ice and snow on it. So we're going to take a little break. We've been waiting for the door for our in wall that hasn't come yet. And they tell us that we have quite a large snowstorm on its way to us. They're expecting several feet. And that's down in the valley. We live on top of the mountain. We always get about 33% more snow than everybody else, so we could be in for a very large storm. We haven't had a chance to get the concrete in for the garage yet, so we're going to need a little help from the weather at some point down the road here to get some melting. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to get this concrete in. And it's really important that we get the concrete for the garage in because we need to send the building people a picture of the concrete, and they're running about 16 weeks behind. So if we could send them a picture right now, we would get our garage in May. If we can't do this until the spring, we're looking at July, August, probably September before we get a garage, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Meanwhile, we're as done as we can be for now. Jason and I have to do the end wall here, and the end wall on the other end, and then start building the planters. But not today. Today, we're going to try something different. We have Jason's girlfriend visiting, and we thought we would show her some of the old ways and some of the things that we do in the old country. So come along with us. You might be interested. So we're inside. This is Katie, and you guys know Jason, right? This is Jason's girlfriend. She came to visit us from Flint, Michigan, and we're not going to work outside because we have company. So we're going to make some food. I'm going to try to teach her how to make chorizo and how to make fresh cheese. And we thought we'd show you how we do it too. So let's get into it. So chorizo, traditional Portuguese sausage, not to be confused with chorizo, which is a Mexican sausage. Portugal's an interesting country. It's a very small country, and they make 17,000 different kinds of chorizo from the north to the south. So let's maybe explore the history of chorizo a little bit because it's kind of interesting. So chorizo is made with a marinade, and this marinade is called Vinha alhos, which means wine and garlic. And you're standing frozen behind me. It's going to make the video look really weird. Go over there. I'm sorry. So chorizo is made traditionally in a marinade called Vinha alhos. And chorizo is very different in different places in Portugal. Okay, so if we start at the north of Portugal, chorizo is dark because it's made with red wine, and it's heavily smoked, and it's dried. And as we move south towards the end of Portugal, we're at the bottom of the Iberian Peninsula, chorizo becomes lighter and more red. And by the time we get to the Algarve, which is at the very bottom, they don't even call it chorizo anymore. They call it linguiça. And the reason for that is in the Algarve, they have another chorizo called chorizo moro. And this is a sausage that is a recipe based on Moorish influences. The Moors, Morocco, are right across the strait from Portugal. This is where they used to invade Europe through Portugal and Spain. And so chorizo is very different across the country. I grew up in Lisbon. There's also the islands where I was born, but I grew up in Lisbon, and so chorizo in Lisbon is kind of a mixture of the two. So an interesting piece of history behind chorizo. So chorizo is based on this marinade called Vinha alhos, garlic and wine. And so basically it's wine and garlic, a little bit of bay leaf, some paprika maybe for color. And so the Portuguese had this, and the Portuguese were discoverers, right? So they ended up discovering most of the world. They were the first ones to cross the Cape of Good Hope. And they discovered parts of Africa and India and Asia. And so the Portuguese ended up in Africa, in Mozambique and Angola. And in Mozambique, the Portuguese discovered this small pepper, this nice hot pepper. They call it piri piri. I think they call it bird's eye here in the States or something like that. But what's good about piri piri is that when you dry it and you use it as a spice, it adds heat to your food. but it doesn't really have much of a flavor. It doesn't change your flavor profile. Yeah, and so the Portuguese took Vinha from continental Europe, brought it to Africa, added the piri-piri, and kind of bumped it up a little bit. And then they carried it along to other places they had discovered. And it ended up in India because Portugal had discovered and colonized great parts of India. Now, the Indian people really loved it, and they took it onto themselves. And they, what was that? It was one of the machines. They took it onto themselves, and of course, they added machines. Like I was saying, they took it onto themselves, and they added some more spices, some more Indian spices, and slowly the name Vinha sort of got morphosized, and we ended up with the word Vindaloo. And Vindaloo is a very famous Indian dish. It's a spicy stew, really homey, really spicy, really hot. And so that's what it became in India. It became Vindaloo. Now, meanwhile, the Brits, they also had lots of colonies in India. And they took Vindaloo back to Europe, back to England. But there, it kind of became sort of a contest. Who can eat the hottest Vindaloo? So now when you eat Vindaloo in England, it's like bloody hot. It'll just about kill you. And it's a big contest who can eat the hottest Vindaloo. But it's interesting how we started in Europe, went all the way to Africa, India, and back to Europe again. And so Vinha is the basis for all that. And Vinha is the marinade that we use to make chorizo. Besides Vinha, of course, you use pork meat. And I have here a pork shoulder. And typically, I would just buy the rough pork shoulder. This is too good of a pork, but this is just to show Katie how we do it. And I didn't want a big, gigantic piece of meat. So I ended up with this, which is, really, look, peasant food is made out of peasant stuff. You don't get really good meat to make peasant food. It doesn't come out right. But anyway, so I got this pork shoulder, and I eat. Often pork shoulder doesn't have enough fat, so I got a little bit of pork belly to add in there as well. Now, the way you make the chorizos, you take the pork shoulder, you chop it up in pieces, you put it in vinha, and it depends on how you want it, right? I mean, you can marinate it overnight. You can marinate it for days, even weeks. Some people have it for several weeks marinated. It depends on the flavor profile that you're looking for. In our case, we're going to make a Lisbon version of fresh chorizo, and it's what they call, in Lisbon, they call it linguica. So it looks a little bit more similar to, say, Italian sausage. So it's spicy, and you make it, and you cook it. You don't smoke it, you don't age it, you don't do any of those things to it. But making regular chorizo is just the same process as doing that, except you would marinate longer, and then you would smoke it, and then you would age it. And when you age it, this is what it looks like when you age it. These are aging in our wine cellar, and they look beautiful. And then when it's all done, and it looks like this. And this is more or less what chorizo looks like in Lisbon. The first step is to take the pork meat and chop it up in pieces. So you guys don't have to stand by looking at the screen while I chop up a bunch of meat. So I'm going to chop up some meat, and then I'll show you how it works and how we stuff it and why we use different kinds of machines and approaches.
Katie, but be careful doing that, okay?
You can use this one if you want.
Because you have another one?
Okay.
Because you have another
No,
one?
I'm good, yeah, I'm fine. Okay, so you sort of want to capture the people, Jason. Yeah.
I think this knife might be dull.
No, that knife is not dull. Why? What's the matter?
I don't think it's either me or.
Why? What's the matter? What are you
the
trying to
knife.
cut? This?
That little chunk off. I guess it's me then. It's not cutting it right.
No, this is very tough grizzle. Okay, I can give you something sharper
And I can show you.
if you promise me not to cut yourself to death.
Grab this with good with my knife, and then I'm just going to kind of wiggle the knife and keep pulling rather than trying to slice.
Oh, okay.
This
But
is
be careful,
very,
that's
very
super
sharp. Okay.
It's a
So
boning
just
knife.
Watch there. All right.
See?
Yep.
You let the skin do the work.
You know, that knife is very, very sharp, so please don't miss with that one. Because if you miss, you're going to get hurt. Okay?
All right, folks. Hello.
So what we're doing is chopping the pork meat, and you notice that we're doing it in chunks. And that's a unique trait of Portuguese chorizo as opposed to other sausages. Other sausages go through the meat grinder, including Mexican chorizo. But Portuguese chorizo is made in chunks. And so the way it was done traditionally, and still is many times a year, is people chop it up, and then they sit around the kitchen table having some wine and talking, and then they use these small funnels, and with their thumbs they keep shoving it into the casings. We're going to use a sausage stuffer because I like my gadgets. But that's how chorizo is done. So it's not put through a grinder, it's not ground.
And notice you have to get all this gristly fat off.
Yep.
But one thing, Portuguese people waste nothing, like many other cultures. So you can actually take this fat and you kind of put it in a pot for about 3 hours, and you can get fresh pork lard,
yep.
which, contrary to popular belief, is actually not bad for you.
Yep.
Because it doesn't have any chemicals in it. So please save me the fat, okay?
Yeah.
Because I can make lard. And Katie, this just takes patience. See, look, you keep pulling the fat off. So it's different than cutting up meat.
So this is what Dagmar is talking about, saving.
Yep. You make lard out of that. What do you call it? Chouriços?
Tourismus.
Say it again?
Well, but that's not lard. Tourismus is not lard.
No, but Chouriços is the...
Tourismus is when you take
the
the fat like this and you cook it and you fry it, okay, until it becomes hard, like potato chips or cracklings. Yeah, it's really good. It's very, very good. Now this is a very small amount of meat that we're making here, so I don't even know if this is going to come out because I've never made such a little bit of chorizo before, especially on a big stuffing machine like we have. But we'll try, see what
We
happens.
have to do it by hand, honey. We have the funnel.
I want to use my machine.
Okay. Which, folks, as we notice with the garden, we do nothing small in this house. So wait till you see the machine. You could go into business.
You're picking all my gadgets.
Look, Kitty, look at my hands. If you put your fingers like this, you can never cut your fingers because the knife's up against your knuckle. I learned that the hard way.
Okay. And because the shoulder often does not have enough fat, I'm going to add a little bit of pork belly so that I can grab. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
So I can grab some of the fat out.
Like I said, Katie, be careful with the point of the knife.
Yeah, why don't you give us some more instructions on how to not cut yourself? So I'm going to add a little bit, just a little bit of pork belly.
Fortunately, it's cut. It's a little worse than I thought.
Yeah, right. So we're just about done. This is going to make a couple of chorizos, or in our case, linguiças. Not much, but that's okay. It's just for fun.
And then out of that, we can get the fat, we can get some chorizo, we can get some batanas, okay? So this, what is this now? Oh, this is... Like, should you not cut myself, and I'm the one who cut myself. Yeah,
All right, so we've chopped up. Ready? All right, so we've chopped up all our meat. Looks like this, and now it's time to make the vinha alhos. Jason's going to get some close-ups for us of how this is done. So we have a nice meat, and you notice that we've got a nice blend of fat and regular meat that we put together. And now vinha alhos is composed of some kosher salt. Normally you put piri-piri in this to make your chorizo spicy, but I'm not going to because Katie doesn't like spices a lot. She doesn't like things very spicy. So I'm going to skip the piri-piri. So a little bit of salt, a little bit of paprika. Paprika gives it the color. And a little bit of pepper. And then we need a lot of garlic. I'm just going to use my machine to get my garlic. That's probably enough right there. Okay. And some bay leaf, nice big bay leaves. And then some wine.
what kind of wine? wine do you recommend?
This is a Chardonnay. You know, you can use red wine, you can use white wine. I'm using white wine in this case. I want it to come out nice and light, so we'll get most of the color out of the paprika. And then we'll marinate this overnight, and then tomorrow we'll make whatever adjustments we need to make. But this now just gets covered, goes in the refrigerator, and tomorrow sometime we'll stuff the sausages. So that's it for now. Well, you can't see it in that shot. You got this? All right, so this is what it looks like. See? And tomorrow we'll finish it up. See you later. All right, we're back to our sausages. So we have some cameras set up, and you know, Cecil beat the mill and all that. We have no idea what we're doing. We never have any idea what we're doing, but it'll always be fun. My son's back there with a mobile camera, and we're going to try and make our sausages. So we talked a little bit about how the sausages are made, and we marinated these things overnight, and they look quite nice. They look like that, see? And what you're supposed to do this morning, or whenever you're ready, is you're supposed to take some of it and fry it up a little bit and then taste it and see if the flavor is good. But we're trying to do this fast. These kids want to go out and have breakfast, and we just wanted to show you and show Katie how this is done. I kind of know that it tastes okay because I can taste the marinade and I know what it tastes like. And we talked a little bit about piri piri, the pepper, and my wife did some more research. And it turns out that piri piri actually originated in the Americas, in South America. And it was from there that it was brought to Portugal and Spain, and then from there they brought it to Angola and Mozambique. And piri piri, or pili pili, is the word, the Swahili word for pepper, and it slowly got morphosized into piri piri, which still means pepper. And by the way, they look kind of like this. Jason, get a close up of this. Okay, so when they're dry, they look like that, and you crush them and you put them into food. And when they're fresh, they look like this. They're these small little red peppers, and they call them American bird's eye. The bird's eye pepper in Mozambique and Africa now, in Angola, is a slight different variation. But basically, once they're dry, they just add flavor, add heat without adding very much flavor. So now we're ready to do our sausages. So the first thing is you need some casings. They make artificial casings. I like the natural casings. So they come in a package of some kind. They stink. They're in salt and they're smelly. So you wash them and you put water through them all the way to the inside. And then I like to soak them in, I'll show you this, Jason. I like to soak them in lemon juice and water for a while, warm water. And then you slide them onto your machine. You can see we have our big machine here, which is kind of silly because we're making a hamburger-sized sausage, but I just wanted to use the machine because I like it. So we're going to try a trick. I don't know if this is going to work, but what I have here is the pork fat, and I'm going to put that on top of the meat so that hopefully the machine pushes all of our meat through because we already have so little. Sometimes they put bread on top, and then when the bread starts to come out, they stop and they use the sausage. But I'm going to try this. And so I've taken the casings now. These are 42 millimeter casings. They're the best size for chorizo because chorizo tends to be fat. In this case, we're making linguiça. The 36 millimeter casings would have been better. But unfortunately, the supermarket was out of them. And this stupid light is doing funny things again. But what are you going to do? It is what it is. We're having a lighting issue, but we'll do it the way it is. Okay, so now I have my casing. Here's ready. And what I'm going to do now is just take my meat and take out the, get rid of the bay leaves.
Are you going to do one by hand to show the old way of
Oh, excellent. My wife just yelled out, showed him the old way. Yeah, so here's the old way, okay?
Very expensive funnel.
Yeah, very expensive. It's very complicated. And so what you do is you take the pieces of meat, you put them in there, and you just, you put your casing on here, and you just keep sticking it in with your thumbs. And you sit around and you just do that over and over and over again, and that's how you make the chorizo the traditional way. It's still done this way by thousands of people in Portugal. You don't need this whole contraption. Really, you don't. We also have a KitchenAid. I could have put my KitchenAid attachment on here and used that to make the chorizo. It's just you wouldn't have exactly the traditional mouthfeel of chorizo because it would grind up the meat. So it would be slightly different, but believe me, if this is what you have, it works. Look, we're dealing with peasant food. Here's the thing about peasant food. It doesn't care. It comes out good no matter what. So just have fun and use it. There's nothing to do in this. Okay, so let me just get rid of the plastic here. And okay, so we're going to just strain our meat. Okay. Just let it strain for a little while. Find any hidden pieces of bay leaf. They seem to be good. They're good. Okay, excellent. Okay, we'll just let that drain for a few moments. Meanwhile, I'm going to have to move this machine here in order to get to the back of it so that I can put the sausage in there, the sausage meat. All right, let's see. See, all this liquid is the reason why you hang these things to dry when you're making chorizo, because otherwise it's really wet, you know. But we're making linguiça. I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit more of the liquid. Okay. Oh, we should wait a little longer, but I'm trying to get done. So, they want to go out for breakfast. Jason King, no, you can't. Can you do me a favor? Just grab the tip there so it doesn't flip completely over for me. No, don't be afraid. You can grab it right here if you want. Okay, just don't let it fall. No, you're going the wrong way.
I'm sorry.
Nope. You ready? Gonna get heavy.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I told you it was gonna get heavy. Okay, excellent. Now pass me that plate. Get this all into where it's supposed to be. And hopefully it's going to work. Okay, now we'll put these pieces. I don't know if this trick is going to work or not, but we're going to try it. I don't know if it'll do us any good, but we'll try. This is just so we can get as much of this meat through as possible. Okay, we're good. Excellent. All right. I know it's not very good movie making, but it's, what are you going to do? We don't know how to make videos. Okay, so now we're going to try and actually get it to stuff the sausages. So this one comes with a little foot pedal thingy, which makes it a lot easier. Like this. Okay? By the way, there's a lot of these machines on the internet. Some are very expensive, some are less expensive. I actually bought the least expensive one, but I paid up for the electrical part. You could buy this exact same machine for a third of the price if you don't get the electrical thing. The reason why I got paid up is because often I'm doing this by myself. I'm in the kitchen, 5 o'clock in the morning, making some sausages, So let's just get the thing to get started. It's being held up by something. I'll get this juice out of here. That's all it can get out. Okay, because we only have a tiny little bit of meat, Turns red once you dry it up a little bit. Come on, not go through. All right, so there we go. There's a big fat chorizo, or in this case, linguiça. We're just going to let it sit and drain for a little while, and then it'll dry up a little bit, and then we can fry it up. We're on again, just about. Great. Now we can start shoving it back in there. All right. Risky. I'm trying to show it to her again, but that's time I did, it went to hell, so. Okay. Just shove it in there. And this is why you don't use that big machine for a tiny little job like this, because it would waste more than half of your meat. And also, you don't normally want a casing this big unless you're making chorizo. So if we're making chorizo, we'll be making links as we go along and tying them. Or just twisting them. Just have to keep shutting it back down again so it doesn't escape you. Because you're just hanging onto it up here. Yeah, well, we're going to quit. I'll go ahead. Okay, leave it. Yeah, so much for that. Can you guys back up a little? So we don't make a mess. Okay, it's all right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, definitely a comedy, not a drama.
Does have the fun.
So yeah, so that's how you're supposed to do it by hand. But I'm in a hurry. I'm trying to get done. These guys want to go to breakfast, and after they go, I'll sit down. I'll be stuffed those and casing slowly, patiently, like it's supposed to be done. But so that's what it looks like. Again, if it was linguiça, it would be a lot thinner than this, and that's what we're making is linguiça. So wrong size casing, but that's all I had. We'll let it dry for a few hours, and then we'll just fry it up and eat it. We could hang it, we could smoke it, and then it becomes chorizo. And that's about it. If you have the patience. Again, if you don't try it so hard to go as fast as I did, and if you're going to use one of these crazy machines, you have to be making, quite a number of pounds of chorizo, and then it pays because it'll just go really fast. But if you just wanted to make 1 or 2 chorizos for the week, this thing is perfect. Ciao. Okay, we're back. We cooked our sausage. Looks beautiful. Now I have to admit I made a mistake. There's an ingredient I forgot to put in, something called massa de pimentão, and it makes it turn red. Alternatively, you could also put a lot more paprika than I did, but it will still taste delicious. It just looks a little bit more like a kielbasa than it does on linguiça. But it's nice. We just fried it up, and it's beautiful. We'll eat it later. We're going to make hamburgers for dinner, so we're just going to use this as a snackish. But yeah, it came out very nice. It's pretty easy to make. It would have been a lot easier to use a smaller machine, or even to do it by hand, but I wanted to use my big machine. I love the machine, so yeah, what are you going to do? But anyway, next time put more paprika or massa de pimentão. We'll actually probably later on do a video on doing chorizo, the actual real chorizo, and it comes out red, you smoke it and all that. But for now, that's how you make a sausage. There's really nothing to it. Ciao, ciao.